close your eyes and imagine coming to your first class as a freshman student at your college. Remember how nervous you were about not only the subject matter that was going to be taught in the class, but also if you would make friends in the class, or if you would make friends with your professor. Now imagine this class being at the little-known UGA dairy off Lexington Highway. Now open your eyes and you'll see a massive creature. Some might call these beasts cattle, but this particular steer reaches 6 feet tall at the shoulders and has a gaping hole on the left side of his abdomen leading directly into his stomach. Well, this was one of my first experiences as an animal science student at UGA. And this experience, coupled with many others, have led me to pursue a degree in animal science and hopefully continue learning about these animals for the remainder of my life. But as your tour guide today, I would like to take you on a tour of the ruminant stomach. First, we will start in the reticulum, we will move to the rumen, the omasum, and end in the abomasum. So everybody keep up and follow me. Cattle do not have 4 stomachs, as most people would like to tell you. Actually, cattle have 1 stomach with 4 physically and functionally distinct compartments. And as you enter through the esophagus, you will come into a honeycomb wall chamber, and this is called the reticulum of the cow's stomach. Dr. Pringle states that this main function is to catch heavy objects which the cow ingests, such as metal and hardware. And you may be wondering, did she just say metal and hardware? Yes, metal and hardware. Because if any of you have ever been around cattle, you'll realize they're very curious creatures, and if something new is introduced into their environment, their first instinct is always to eat it. These heavily undigestible objects, they have to sit somewhere. They can't be fully digested, so they end up sitting in the reticulum for the remainder of the cow's lifetime after ingestion. So just remember that the reticulum retains metal objects. If you flip to the top of the reticulum, you'll enter the portion of the stomach known as the rumen. And this is my favorite portion, because as you will notice, it's very vast in size. In an average 1,200-pound dairy cow, the rumen can contain 55 gallons of fluid. This is like a whole barrel of fluid. Field and Taylor state that this is a pre-gastric fermentation vat filled with bacteria and protozoa. And Bowen estimates there to be about 1 billion bacteria per milliliter of fluid in the rumen and 100,000 protozoa per milliliter of fluid in the rumen. So this is a very active portion of the stomach. These bacteria and protozoa are what make cattle digestion process so interesting, because they allow their symbiotic relationship with the cow, allow it to eat plant matter such as cellulose and lignin, which humans cannot digest, and which allows them to eat the grasses and roughagages, which you see them eating on the side of the roads. What happens is the bacteria and protozoa, they ferment this grain, this grasses that the cattle eats, and they produce volatile fatty acids and microbial protein, which then the cattle can utilize as its energy source. As you may be able to notice, I can pretty much talk about this portion of the cow's stomach forever. But I'm just going to stick to the grossest parts because they're always the most entertaining. Many of you may have heard of cattle as it pertains to their contributions to global warming through their incessant production of gases such as carbon dioxide and methane. So what happens is the bacteria and protozoa, as they're fermenting, they produce this byproduct of carbon dioxide and methane, which then the cattle has to release. And how else do you release it? Burping. Cattle belch a lot, and I'm talking about a lot. And if you've ever been around them, you will notice this. But this incessant belching is known in scientific terms as eruptation. So next time you hear this term, just know it's a fancy word for belching. So just remember that the rumen recycles roughage. As we continue down the stomach, we will enter the portion of the stomach that is the omasum. Being the least interesting portion of the cow's stomach, its main function is for water absorption. It was thought in the past that this portion may have had a greater function, but in today's cattle, it mainly functions just as water absorption. But it also catches the large particles which leave the rumen and ejects them back in for further digestion if this is necessary. So just remember in the end that the omasum osmoses H2O. Just when you thought we were done, we enter the portion known as the abomasum. And this is called the true stomach because it functions much like that of a human. Dr. Pringle states that its function is to secrete enzymes to break down the grains and byproducts fed in the cow's diet. And these grains and byproducts are what we like to call concentrate feeds because they have concentrated nutrients that are easily digestible to the cow to gain its nutrient content. And examples of this kind of feed are corn and soybean meal that are supplemented in the cow's diet. The abomasum breaks down these feeds and byproducts through their secretions of acids, such as HCl, which lower the pH of this portion of the stomach to around 3 to 4, hence why it is known as being much like a human stomach. So just remember that the abomasum is the actual stomach of the cow. So next time you're eating that big juicy hamburger that I know you all love, I would just like you to ponder how this hamburger came to be and how cattle digestion played a role in producing the food that you are now consuming. Just remember that cattle stomachs are amazing organs that in the end provide food to millions and millions of people each year. And by learning a little bit about this digestive process, I hope in the future you will be able to make more informed decisions about animal products. Thank you.